Hello everybody, my name is Paige. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about the books that I read in December. I recently posted in October and November reading wrap-up videos to my channel because I didn't film in the later part of 2021 very often. This concludes my late wrap-up, so these are all the books that I read in December of 2021. I read a total of 22 books in December. I had 13 5 stars, 6 4 stars, and 2 3 stars, and I also had 1 DNF. The book that I DNF'd in December is Bittersweet Surrender by Q.B. Tyler. Going into this book, I was really hoping that it wouldn't have taken the route that it did. This scenario is about a woman who is going to marriage counseling with her husband because their marriage is on the rocks. They're on the brink of divorce, and she falls in love with the marriage counselor. This sounds like so awesome, except for I wish it would have them having like this really deep connection and like an undeniable attraction to each other and slowly falling in love, and then her ending her relationship for him. That was the route I would hope it would have taken, but it wasn't. She just immediately started having an affair with her not only hers but her husband's as well, counselor, and it was just I did not like that at all, so I DNF'd it. The first book that I read in December is Parker by Jack Harbon. This follows a guy named Parker. This is an MM romance. This is about a guy who is actively stealing something in the beginning of the book because he's just in a really bad situation, and this lady catches him doing this in the moment, and she forces him to like take it back to the store, but she sees that he is in desperate need of help, so she takes him back home because she kind of takes in boys who are in bad situations and gives them a place to live. And I say boys, but he's a man but he is coming out of this abusive relationship, and he moves in to this house with her and the other guys that live there. And Parker is, I think he's the oldest of the boys that she has adopted through the years, and this is their romance, and it was really cute. I really liked it, and I gave it 5 stars. So here I begin reading Christmas themed books throughout December, and I do have vlogs. I have Vlogmas videos that I did film in December, so if you want more in-depth thoughts on these books, go watch those. But the first Christmas book I read is the Alien Nanny for Christmas by Milo. This was super cute. I rated it 5 stars. This was about a guy, well, this alien man. He shows up at this woman's doorstep, and it's so cute how it happens. And she is a single mother. She needs somebody to watch her kids because she is late for work, and she entrusts the care of her kids to him, which you will see in my thoughts if you watch my Vlogmas videos. I thought was kind of really really not believable at all, because you know, what mother would do that? But this is fiction, it's fantasy. So anyway, moving on from that point, he was such a cinnamon roll character. He absolutely was fantastic with her, and especially with the kids. He just like stepped right up, did all the things that she needed him to do. He cooked, he cleaned, he took care of her kids, and it was super cute. I really loved this Christmas alien romance book. The next book I read is The Christmas I Know by Nicky James. This is an MM romance. This is about a guy who is going to his boyfriend for Christmas, and he is super excited for Christmas. He's excited, you know, for having a Christmas tree and just doing all the Christmas you know, traditions. And his flight gets delayed because of the weather, and his boyfriend is very upset that he is delayed because he's more worried about his Christmas party than he is his boyfriend. Their relationship is really on the rocks. He hitches a ride with this guy who kind of like overhears him that he's needing, you know, to be at this place, so he gives him a ride. They really connect with each other, and they do part ways when, you know, he drops him off at his boyfriend's house. He does end the relationship because his boyfriend is a pretty big jerk in this, and he is just going to go home, and he texts the other guy who gave him the ride and says, you know, like, hey, do you want to spend Christmas together? And this was their Christmas that they spent together, and it was so cute. They spent it at, I think, his grandmother or his aunt's house, and they just did like all the Christmas traditions, and it was such a cozy Christmas read and full of love, and it was so cute and adorable, and I rated it 5 stars. The next one I read is Secret Santa by Katie Wilde. I rated this one 4 stars. It's about a girl who is working at her job. She's kind of terrified of her boss's son, which is kind of like also her boss in a way. He's just kind of like has a very grumpy exterior, and even though he really likes her, his dad, the boss of the company, draws her name, so he is going to help his dad with a gift for her. And this was a really super short Christmas read. It was very spicy, very short, but cute at the same time, and I rated this one 4 stars. The next one I read is The Christmas Blanket by Kandi Steiner. This one was super emotional. I did not realize that it was going to be so heavy for, you know, being I thought it was just gonna be kind of a light Christmas read, but this one does really really delves into the emotional side. This is about a guy and a girl who have already been married, and they were like high school sweethearts, and they got married really young, and their relationship didn't last. She wanted to go travel the world, and he did not. He wanted to stay home. He was very happy with where they were, and they couldn't agree, so they divorced. And she's been traveling the world. She comes back to the small town to visit her family for Christmas. She gets stuck on the road in her car, and she's rescued by none other than her ex-husband. And the roads are like impassable, so they have to go back to his cabin, of course, and where there's no Wi-Fi, there's no, you know, phones or anything, so everything's down, and so she has to spend a few days with him. And this is kind of like where they reconnect with each other. This is the second chance romance, and it was so good. She really learned some hard truths that, you know, she didn't know in the time that she's been away, and that was kind of where the very emotional parts played in. But this was such a good book. It was way more than I expected, and I just loved it, and I rated it 5 stars. The next one is Tic Tac Mistletoe by N.R. Walker. This is about an Australian guy who has come to the States to visit his sister. His sister has been living in the States, and he is kind of thinking about moving to the States because they have no family left in Australia. His car breaks down in the snow, and he is rescued by a guy who lives in a cabin not too far from where his car breaks down, and they spend a few days together until he can get him over to his sister's house. But they do all the, you know, cut down a Christmas tree and bake cookies, and there's a little dog that he has that he made shoes for, and it was just such a super cute Christmas read. I loved it so much, and I rated it 5 stars. And then I read the next book in that series, which is the Christmas Wish List by N.R. Walker. This is about a guy who is a chef. He's been living in the States since he was like 12, and they're originally from Australia as well. And he gets this job working as a chef at a bed and breakfast. This is kind of like a temporary job, and he goes to this small town, and he meets the bed and breakfast owner. He is a single dad. He's divorced. He was married to his wife, but then realized that he is gay, so that's why they're divorced, and they have 2 children. And he is opening a bed and breakfast and hires this guy to be the chef, and this is their romance, and it was super cute, and I rated it 4 stars. Then I read The Mistletoe Motive by Chloe Liese. Absolutely love this one. This is about a guy and a girl who work at this bookstore, and she is just full of Christmas joy. She loves Christmas. She just has such a joyful countenance, and has that kind of personality, whereas he is just more grumpy and cold and really keeps to himself. They really misunderstand each other a lot, and kind of leads to she thinks that he is like such a Grinch type of character, that he just hates Christmas and he wants to kill her joy, but he's just like in the background trying to keep the bookstore afloat and in business. And so there's a lot of misunderstanding, but eventually it leads to where he really cares for her, and that eventually comes out to play. And I adored this so much. I loved it. Such an excellent book from Chloe Liese, and I rated it 5 stars. Then I read Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. This is a sapphic romance. The two heroines in the story are on a blind date, and their date kind of goes horribly wrong. They are two totally different personalities, and they clash, and they just don't think that they're going to, you know, go on another date. Then there's a situation where one of the heroines needs a girlfriend, and so she kind of just, it's gotten out to where she is dating this girl, and so she goes and asks her if they could agree to have this fake dating relationship. And of course it leads from there, and this was such a cute book, and I rated it 5 stars. The next one is Christmas on Main Street by Leeanna Morgan. I rated this one 3 stars. It just wasn't that great to me. It's a single mom who is running this like charity organization in her town, and they are receiving Christmas wishes to Santa, and they are trying to make these wishes come true. The hero in the story comes from like New York to come to the town because I think his grandfather lives in the town, and he comes to like help with it, and this is their romance. And it was just very insta love. It just did not have, I did not connect with the characters at all. I didn't really care about the romance. It was just kind of blah. And so I rated it 3 stars. And then I read Our Totally Ridiculous Made Up Christmas Relationship by Brittainy C. Cherry. I rated this one 4 stars. It was cute. It wasn't like her normal books per se. This was just a really light and fun read. But it was great for what it was. This girl is needing to go home for Christmas. She tells her family, you know, that she's been in this relationship, which she has, but the guy dumps her, and she just doesn't really want to be seen as the failure. And so she works at an like acting agency, and she hires one of the actors on site to be her fake boyfriend for Christmas, and she brings him home as her fake boyfriend. And so it was cute, it was fun. I rated it 4 stars. The next one I read is When You Least Expect It by Haley Cass. This actually ended up being one of my favorite books of the year. It was so good. This is a sapphic romance. One of the heroines works as a divorce attorney, and she is sought out by a woman who is on the brink of divorce and who is married to her ex-colleague from her old firm, and she is asking for help. She knows she needs to, they're separating, having a divorce, and she needs a good attorney against her husband that is also a divorce attorney. And so she agrees to help her, and she's also a single mom, and so she also kind of gets roped in with like taking care of her daughter at times when she needs somebody and everybody flakes out on her. She really steps in to help her, and they really form a great friendship. First, their friendship is great. They are just, you know, they bonded, and the divorce attorney knows she's gay, but the other heroine doesn't know this until she falls in love with the first heroine, and it was just so fantastic. I loved reading their story, and I rated it 5 stars. The next one I read is When Snowflakes Fall by Tara Wyatt, and I actually had to look this one up on Goodreads because I'm just struggling to remember this one. I'm guessing I probably should lower the rating since I can't even remember what it's about. Essentially, it's the single dad who is running his own like carpentry business, and the heroine is a doctor that moves to town, and he ends up having to take his son to the ER, and that's how they meet. And that's pretty much all I remember about it. I'm guessing this one was just meh, and I rated it 3 stars. The next one I read is The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score. This is about a guy who is like a town manager. He is in charge of the town, and this hurricane comes and ruins their town, and they are really struggling, and they really get a lot of their revenue through the holidays, and it's looking like they aren't going to have that this year. This woman who runs this like reality TV show steps in to help, and he is really kind of doesn't want her to help because he thinks she's just trying to make money off of them, but he kind of just has to take it because it will help them out so much, and he has to think for the town. And she and her crew come in and they help restore this town, and this is their romance, and I rated it 4 stars. The next one I read is The Boss Who Stole Christmas by Jana Aston. This is about a guy who owns this company, and he's really grouchy and grumpy, and the heroine who works for his company, you know, just hates him so much. He has to go out of the country for business, and he invites her along, kind of like makes her go with him. And on this trip, they, you know, really are attracted. They really get to know each other. He's already been attracted to her. He just didn't know how to like really talk to her. But on this trip, they really connect with each other, and this is their romance, and I rated it 5 stars. The next one I read is If You Give a Jerk a Gingerbread by Jana Aston. I rated this one 4 stars. This story is about, the heroine is a baker, and she is entering in like this baking contest show, and one of the judges is the hero of the story. He is judging her, you know, going to be judging her creation. I think it's like gingerbread. He comes to stay in this small town where she is, and she cooks for like the bed and breakfast there, and he is staying there, and they get to know each other throughout, you know, filming the show and whatnot, and this was their romance. Then I felt kind of in a slumpy mood. It was just towards the end of the year, towards the end of December, so I wanted to read something that I love. So I picked up Welcome to the Dark Side by Giana Darling. This is the second book in the Fallen Men series. It's a motorcycle club romance series, and I absolutely love this series so much. This is my favorite book in the series. This follows Zeus, the president of the motorcycle club, and his romance with Lou. They meet when she is 7. She's 7 and he's like 19 or 20. He saves her life when she is 7 by taking a bullet for her. And that is how they first meet, and then they kind of correspond through her growing up years as she's writing letters to him, until she becomes a teenager and she kind of has a crush on him, and he completely shuts that down until later on when she is kind of throws herself back into his life, and their attraction and connection is undeniable, and this is their romance, and I love it so much. It's such a good age gap romance. I love Zeus, I love Lou, I love the whole motorcycle club. I adore this one, and of course it's 5 stars. Then I read Sam's Secret by Ruby Dixon. This was the latest book in the Ice Home series, and so I read it. So this human girl Sam is on this alien planet, and all the other human girls have pretty much found mates by this point, but she's just kind of withdrawing in herself. She is holding a lot of secrets, you know, that she kind of like left behind on Earth. She had kind of really a hard life there, and she hasn't really opened up to anyone, and so she decides to like take a little mini trip on this planet. But one of the blue aliens follows her. I don't really want to tell you like who it is because it's kind of spoilery, but it's one that we've seen all throughout the whole entire series, even the Ice Planet Barbarian series, and it was so exciting to finally get his book. I thought he was totally going to end up with somebody else. I'm so glad Ruby didn't go in that direction and instead went in that he ended up with Sam. That was phenomenal. But he goes after her to protect her because, you know, he just feels that protectiveness for her, and they end up at this cave, and they kind of end up in a bad situation. I don't want to say too much, but this one kind of took a more heavier turn than the others have been. They have to really step in and help protect each other because they do end up being in a bad situation, but they protect each other and they fall in love. Of course, they're like fated mates for each other, and I love this one so much, and I rated it 5 stars. And then I reread Mute by M.L. Nystrom. This is a book in a motorcycle club series. I don't know, I think it's the Dragon Runners. The Dragon Runners series. I wanted to continue on in this series, but I'm not really interested in any of the other stories, but this one was really good. This is a guy, he's kind of like an enforcer. He's just a huge guy, and he owns co-owns this bar. And the lady who runs the bar, she's the wife of the president of the motorcycle club, and she met her at the library. She would take her grandkids to go to the library, and then she overhears that she's losing her job, so she offers her a job at the bar. And so she starts bartending at the bar, and there meets Mute. The reason he's called Mute is because he cannot speak. He had an injury to his vocal cords and now can't speak. And he has to use other, different ways of communicating. And I love their romance so much. She was kind of like afraid of him for a while because he's just so big and, gruff and demanding. And, but he's really such a great guy. And this motorcycle club is like legit, where they don't deal in illegal business. And so that was kind of neat about it, that this one was cleaner than the others. But I loved her and Mute's romance so much, and it was really great to reread this one again. And of course I rated it 5 stars. And then I went back and reread the first book in the Fallen Men series, which is Lessons in Corruption. This follows Zeus, the motorcycle club president. This is his son, King Kyle. This is his romance with his teacher. So they actually end up seeing each other for the first time in like a grocery store parking lot. And then she goes into work and he is one of her students, and he pursues her nonstop, even though, it's super forbidden because he's 18, he's a senior, but she just will not entertain that until she, he's completely relentless. And I love their story as well. All of the books in the Fallen Men series are absolutely delightful. I love each one so much. I really love being back in this world and rereading these books, and of course rated this one 5 stars as well. And then I reread A Lesson in Blackmail. This is kind of a shorter book in the series, and different authors contribute to the series. This is also kind of a student-teacher relationship. It's forbidden. She works at the in the library at the school, and he is also a senior. He's like captain of the swim team. He has OCD. He just has to be in control of everything and just have things a certain way. And she suffers from anxiety, so she uses this BDSM club to help her kind of control that. And he follows her one night and discovers that's where she goes to. So she introduces him to the whole BDSM scene, and it really helps him as well. But this is their romance, and it's actually pretty good. I really liked it, and I rated it 5 stars. And then I read another book in that series. This is Not My Hero by Michelle Hurd. I rated this one 4 stars. I really only liked the first half of the book. The second half was quite boring. I just felt like it could have she could have like put an end to, like 50% into the book. But this is about a girl who is living in this horrible situation. She is going to the school. She's living with her mother, who is abusive to her. And this guy at the school, he goes there as well. He sees this. He sees what's happening. He's also had an abusive father in the past. His mother finally left when his brother was killed. And so he knows like what she's going through, and he is trying to get her out of that situation and save her. And I really love that part about the book. I really loved where he's, protecting her and just, doing all he can for her. And then, but once he helps her, and then the rest of the book is just kind of boring, and I didn't really care for the rest. It was just like, oh, they lived their daily lives and they did this and they did this, and it was just nothing else happened really after that. But the first half I really liked. So anyway, those are all the books that I read for December. Let me know if you've read any of them, how you like them. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.